This episode's audio quality was made possible by your support through Patreon. We don't have sources on this show.
Boy Meets World ruined my life.
What if the goats are trying to communicate?
You guys ever listen to Botch? I put on a lot of weight. I am the elephant in the room.
Ah, the clap.
Well, I guess you're doing.
So, welcome to Tales from the Ditch. It's Seth here with your old buddy, Old Ball Sean, or as we call him, Old Balls. Sean Boss over here. We have back on the show, back at it again with the White Vans, Nathan Hartley.
Basically a co-host at this point.
Basically a co-host. And
Repeat offender.
And I just, before we even start, I just want to say to Nathan that my youngest son called me a penis today. So, I told you that story. Daddy, I missed you. Hey, bud, you're a penis. Well, thanks. Anyway, so that's all I got for a podcast. Hey, guys, how you doing, Nathan?
Yeah.
You're a dad now.
I'm
Yeah, I was going to say, what's new?
Dad life. Yeah. 3-month-old, almost month-old baby girl at home. So sleeping well. Sleeping through the night because she's an overachiever like that.
She
That's
sleeps?
She sleeps. Yeah. It's better than I do. Mm-hmm. Smiles at me when I come home, so that's cool.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah. Sometimes it's pretty closely associated with poop. But I'll still take credit.
What is that weird face, too? That's a weird thing that you learn as a parent, is what faces look like when people are pooping. And unless you put a mirror in front of your toilet, you never really know until you see it on another person's face, and you see it most often in little kids.
I film myself while I'm doing it so I can see. I get my leg up like a samurai posing for a portrait and just...
On that note, I have a pretty funny story. A friend who went to a most prominent university in the country for the deaf, hearing impaired.
Oh, okay.
And she is not hearing impaired. So she went and her roommate was deaf. And I was talking to her husband. He's like, I couldn't. We were engaged at the time, and I quickly realized I couldn't go to the bathroom in the public bathrooms when I went to go visit her on the weekends because deaf people don't realize the sounds they make when they poop.
Oh, really?
And he's like, I got shy, and I just couldn't do it all the time. And I was talking to this friend, she's like, yeah, my roommate was mortified when I told her that people make sounds when they poop. And she's like, what do you mean we make sounds? What kind of sounds?
That would make me bold, because I'd go, oh, no one can hear me. I just...
Right? Think about all the sounds you wanted to make.
That's true. Actually, that does explain a lot now. I know a couple deaf people.
No, you don't. Name them and give me their addresses. I don't believe you.
I will not.
You know deaf people?
I will not do this here. Two people.
Like actual deaf or
I think you know one of them.
hearing impaired?
Okay, hearing impaired.
Because I know a couple extreme.
I know that guy.
Extreme. Okay.
I was going to say you could say their names because they won't hear it, and then I felt guilty.
Yeah. Too bad we do a transcript.
We don't have closed captioning.
We have Braille.
We release this in Braille. We have a mailing list.
Have you ever thought Christopher Walken, where you're like, maybe he can't see or hear, and that's how his voice ended this way?
Huh.
Because, like, he acts and sounds like he can't hear or see what he's saying. And I like it.
Well...
Speaking of speaking...
I feel like the opportunity for us to say terrible things abounds right now.
I'm just trying
abounds.
Speaking of speaking terrible things,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of talked before we started recording about ranting, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's the rant. There's a couple rants I see happening now and then. But take it away from all of the keyboard warrior social media ranting. And I'm saying verbal, off the top of your head, passionate, zealous, description, complaining, or I don't know what the right way to say it is, but all verbal, right? So when somebody has a verbal rant, you know they didn't have time to think about it. You know they didn't have time to put this together. Actually, that's not true. There's like the Dennis Miller, I'm not going to go on a rant here. And that is kind of rehearsed. But every now and then you come across somebody that you can tell they've been thinking about something, usually something that they hate for a long time.
Yeah.
And then they all of a sudden go off on a rant. And you don't even know what brought that on, or why they're so upset about that, or what it is. that they're trying to get, what point they're trying to get across. And so it means a lot more than, when I'm on Facebook and I can spend like 4 or 5 minutes and use a thesaurus or whatever to get my rant across or something like that. Although I never do because unfortunately I answer too quickly on this. But verbal nuts. I'm talking. Nathan, you said you had experienced some situations recently.
Yeah.
Where you were bereft? A cleft?
You went bananas.
A breast? Arrest?
Cantankerous and ornery.
Yeah. So there's been, kind of, to set the stage, I come from a family that is quite ranty. Hartleys are opinionated. Most people that know us would not be surprised by that. Hartleys are opinionated.
Go on with this mystery.
Mm-hmm. And tend to be quite stubborn. And I would regularly hear from my parents growing up that I wouldn't get in half as much trouble as I did if I'd learned to shut up. Because I was a very good arguer, and I mostly got in trouble because I made my parents so angry by the time I won the argument. But the fact that I won the argument sent them over the edge.
It's always good when you say, I'm not stubborn. Here's why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My favorite was hearing one of my siblings, who is probably the most opinionated person I know, say, I don't like that person, they're too opinionated. And I was like, really? So, yeah, tend to be somebody that I like to think things to death, so I like to try to understand things from every angle and wrap my mind around
a regular Rory Calhoun.
Calhounian. And, so, yeah, there's situations that I've seen in the world around me. Tree constantly kind of right. The temptation is there for me to be very opinionated about and very precise in my opinions.
Tell us your opinions about no,
I'm trying to be nondescript.
Did the Lord not say?
So is it like kind of a niche thing, or is that how you say that? Niche?
Kind of.
Niche? Or is it like kind of just a general thing or a life stage thing?
I think it's kind of two. So
because your role is pastor now, right?
It is.
I don't think it was last time you were on this podcast. I'm not sure.
It was probably just about this time last year.
Supreme High Champ.
And then where I'm at now for a year ago, September 1st.
Already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. So you were a pastor,
right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's kind of the two issues, but I won't get into detail about my ranting. But one would be the transfer of leadership from the baby boomer generation to anybody else.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer. Yeah.
So, yes, the okay boomer. Probably one of my favorite memes I've seen all week is it's Martin Daly with the sign on the Wittenberg dirt that says, okay, boomer.
Yep.
So that's not specific to my context by any means. That's just more of a general church right now thing, because culturally that's a hot topic, and it's definitely...
Like the American church or the West Coast.
Or even, I would say, just culturally, there's a lot of tension between boomers and anybody younger than them right now.
Yes. Am I a millennial? I'm almost 36.
We don't know. I think we're zillennials with an X.
People don't even know what we are. So it's culturally, it's a hot topic. The church is there also. I think some situations are better than others with leaders that empower younger leaders that don't. I'm very grateful because I'm in a situation where I've got a ton of trust from my lead pastor and great mentorship greatly. One of the few lead pastors I know whose adult kids love the church and love his church.
That's cool.
So,
that's awesome.
I need to preface that rant with saying it's more of an at-large in the way I see it affecting the church and churches that I love and what that looks like, because there's a lot that's gumming up right now makes me nervous for the next 10 years. Yeah. So there's that rant that I've got about, and then there's been the rant of one of my roles, family and missions pastor. So I'm over weekday preschool, Sunday children's ministries, marriage ministries, things like that, as well as local missions for our church, and then what we do around. So those are the primary things that I get to do. Missions is something that I'm extremely passionate about, and there's people have a lot of opinions about missions. What? So
get out of here.
Yeah. Sean and I talked about this a little bit the other day.
Get out of town, you crazy guy.
So it's an issue that I feel like an entire generation of church leaders was impacted and discipled through missions experiences, but they kind of had a bad experience along the way, which Sometimes it's because of lack of vetting and planning and stuff like that, or just not caring enough in the details. But now they're just like, oh no, missions are awful, so let's just pull that out of the puzzle piece for people's discipleship and not replace it with anything.
Oh, yeah.
So how are people discipled? Oh, by how we tell them to view the world. And I don't want to talk about it, so I'll just let whatever news outlet they listen to be their discipleship with how they view the world.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
No, I would say, though, like, as one of those people who might be the recipient of your rant.
No, we talked about that. You're good.
Yeah, we did talk about it. We're good. But
Sean is
but
the
like,
worst. Okay.
I would say yes. And I think those two issues already are kind of one of the same. Because it's this younger it's this younger generation who, like me, and Seth and several other people have gone on a short-term mission trip.
Is 2 months short-term? Is that still... Yeah, I guess that'd still be short-term, right?
When did you go on a 2-month trip?
Oh, wait, Thailand was a month and a half.
Was it really?
It was a month and a half.
that long? Wow.
I came back and
That's
someone
crazy.
had a sign saying they were pregnant. Who had the sign?
Sean.
Yeah. Was that really that long? Wow, that was crazy.
I was in
You were
Chiang
16,
Mai,
17?
Thailand. I was 18. And Thailand, Chiang Mai, and Phuket, which I wanted to say, hey, do you say it this way? Do you say fuck it? Because it looks like that.
That's what I
And
always
no one thought it was funny.
Oh.
No one appreciated
Sure,
that.
they've never heard it before.
But anyway, in comparison to some, that would still be short term.
Yeah.
I'm not...
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, I didn't realize it was that long. But so my experience has been week long, or maybe week and a half long mission trips, and I believe my discontentment, like you're saying, Nathan, comes from occasionally, and this wasn't my experience, but this is what I hear from people. Occasionally, people want to use a mission trip to change their life. And sometimes
Or
it's
change
not.
their profile picture.
Occasionally, it's not as life-changing as they want it to be, and so they find it to be a failure. And it can't be their fault. It has to be the organization or the whole ideal of missions and stuff like that. And then sometimes some mission organizations use short-term mission trips to create awareness and maybe spread the word of mouth so that they can get better funding.
Yeah.
And in that case, like I've learned in my situation, sometimes it's just better to say, hey, if you're passionate about this, fund it. And you don't need to send somebody. You can just fund it. But it depends on the situation. And the other thing I think is that people get like you're saying, a discipleship experience. But that discipleship experience can still occur even though it's not up to somebody's expectations.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's like you being discipled through not having the cool opportunity. Like if Nathan was like, hey, let's go do this trip to this remote place. Sean, will you come with me? And I was like, yes, absolutely. Can I have a gun? And Nathan was like, no. And I was like, well, what good am I doing in this area if I don't have a gun? And he says, sorry, you're not allowed to have a gun. Then he's discipling me through that, right?
Yeah.
It's not, just because I didn't get what I wanted doesn't mean it's not discipleship.
I agree.
And I think I've done missions for 17 years, thereabout.
Jeez.
And definitely expectations make or break so much of somebody's experience. And with I think we have a culture of a tendency to overhype what somebody's experience will be like and how everything will, if they fully invest themselves, it will be life-changing. And we kind of oversell in a sense where maybe we think something that's gripped us will grip other people. If they see it like we did, it's going to grip them the way it did us. And I think that's unintentionally has a very low view of other people, because somebody might experience something, have a good experience, but it might not change their life the way it did you.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can unintentionally set people up to have unrealistic expectations. And I've had those on mission of, hey, I can't come away with one thing that's really impactful. And sometimes that in and of itself is that I was looking too much for that one thing that was going to change me, rather than to just be present in a situation God needed me to be present.
And so, yeah, that's
kind of an abstract way to answer.
The thing that I've heard people say, I don't want to go off on it, but
I feel
the
like
thing
the topic of tonight.
I've heard people say is oh, you know what? This group of people or this geographic area isn't actually that poor, so I'm going to send my money to the poorer. And yes, we should be affirming people's dignity and showing them that they're a child of God by giving them grace and mercy financially and through things. But mission, I think, is not synonymous with just helping out poor people. Mission is bringing the gospel to the unchurched people. And so...
People who don't have gospel coalition.
We have we can have sometimes we can be inconsistent with how we think about something like poverty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where we transition into missions when we think poverty, physical poverty, this people group's poor than this people group. And people all the time are like, well, I don't understand. Like, I was in Romania last summer. They're like, well, I don't understand why you should go somewhere like Romania. It's expensive to get there. It's flying to Europe. Like, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Like, well, why when we could do something for a fraction that cost in Mexico?
Right.
And saying,
exactly.
But understanding the complexities of poverty beyond just material possessions and lack, but spiritual poverty, relational poverty.
Yeah.
That we need to care about that holistic.
Yes.
Like, you look at a situation like Haiti. It's like the philanthropic disaster in the world of the billions of dollars that has been spent Haiti and how far those have come to develop that country. It doesn't always equate to the same thing. Like, does that say that we don't do mission work in somewhere like Romania that's still less than 30 years post-revolution? And, like, you have an entire generation that will remember what it was like to be under a communist dictator.
Right, yeah.
Like that, no, the church still needs help from outside their these situations, like most of Europe and very post-Christian environments. Like, you and I had a conversation about Ireland specifically.
Yeah.
We have, like, poverty matters, image bearers matter, and dollars can go farther in different countries when it comes to meeting physical needs, but that's all not always, sometimes the problems are bigger than that.
Absolutely. And the first century church didn't meet the needs of every single person or culture, or at least not every apostle was able to meet the needs of those people. But the fact that the gospel went out and multiplied will eventually every single tribe and tongue. And like, I think that's like an important thing to think about. Even the wealthy, affluent people who, like, that's a mission field nobody wants to be in. Nobody wants to go to Orange County and preach to people, especially when there's 1 million churches there, you know? Nobody wants to go to the Netherlands and talk to the people because apparently they're well off enough to, you know, just buy prostitutes and weed all the time.
Well, Nathan, here, I think what would be helpful for our audience is list the churches in Reno by name that are doing it wrong, and then list the ones that are doing it right, and the lead pastors.
Lead pastors and their email addresses.
I think it would just be helpful to point, and then the ones who you think aren't safe. I think.
And the hardest thing for me is, like, knowing people scattered around in ministry, people that have been, they look at and say, they are walking with Jesus, they are involved in their churches, they are engaged, their church leadership. Missions have played a predominant part of their story at different points more often than not.
Yeah.
So for them, people say, oh, well, we just don't value that anymore. Saying, well, what's your plan how are you shaping people and how they view the world? And part of that, like, me by nature, I empathize with whoever I'm across the table from. I know if I see weeds of bitterness springing up in my heart, the fastest thing I can do is go be around the people I need to be bitter towards. Like, being around them, what I need to do, because then I see them more clearly. And people need to see the world different, because you listen to most of the narrative and the perspective when we talk in our country about anything outside of our borders. It's more oriented on supremacy or fear. Fear that the supremacy might be challenged. But both of those things aren't godly.
Right.
So if we talk about the world in a sense where we just foster fear in people, that's not going to lead to courageous love. That's not going to lead to the world actually changing. That's not going to lead to a compassionate heart. Like, things that we're supposed to be about, so people just get dug further in. So saying, how do we disciple people to view the world, God's world, the way that He does, what He's doing in His church? Like, people need to see the world different. You can't just be discipled by podcast and talk radio. You need to see the world the way that God does.
Oh, hold on.
So for this podcast.
This one that's entirely different. Entirely different.
So I didn't mean to go to you in a different direction than our topic, but
of ranting.
Classic.
Yeah,
old
I'm
balls.
glad that we talked about short-term missions, but
yeah,
as far as ranting,
Yes.
Where is there a line that you should draw? Or is there something that you should do when you recognize something maybe a little malevolent about your rant?
I'm coming to kind of the in-process conviction of formation is who am I becoming by the choices that I'm like. Who am I becoming by the way I go about? And I have seen members of my family become more entrenched in their opinions. And I don't think I want that to be me. Say, I can think of a couple different people in my life right now that I look at who I can look at one person and say their edges have become sharper. The edges that were already there have become sharper as they in a way that I don't find it. Versus other people where I say they are, well, now that we're all here, Seth. Versus other people that they have become, not that they have become like less consistent or less courageous to actually like hold an edge, if that makes sense. Like it's not that they have just lost their backbone, but I have seen their admirable qualities become polished.
Interesting.
And I'm finding, okay, there's things I'm passionate about. There's things that I'm frustrated by. Do people know me as somebody that has strong opinions? I can spend a lot of time filing down an edge to where it's razor sharp, and I can use it for the intended purpose I want to, and I can make a good case for it, and make a good argument. Or do I spend more time polishing areas of my life that I want to see God develop? And it's an interesting thing to see.
Now, were you saying there's kind of a balance? You don't want to be too polished, you don't want to be too sharp? Or were you saying you're heading in the direction of more polished?
I think I want to head in the direction of being more polished because I have opinions, I have reasons why I think the way that I can spend time making very compelling cases for those. And when I find I do that, I look for an opportunity to project the topic I'm passionate about at somebody versus I think when you spend time polishing more, letting God really bring something out of you in areas, really say, who do I want to become by how I interact? Saying, I want people to know what I'm about, but not in a way where I'm throwing an argument at people and I have a chance, but I'm willing to engage with them and ask questions, to share, to have confidence in the things I believe in a way that I don't project it at people, because I don't want to be written off as somebody like, oh yeah, that Nathan Hartley, he's really opinionated about blank. And I've seen more where people pull away from people like that, and I don't want to be that way. Where I want people to know that it is an enjoyable experience and a rewarding experience to talk with me of substance.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
You don't want to be a douchebag.
Yeah, and there's people that I'm like, oh, I know that they've thought something through, but I have no desire to ask them. Nope. And then there's other people that I'm like, I really wonder what that guy has to think about this. Because of the qualities I see in him, I can't wait to hear his thoughts about it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's kind of, this is mid-process for me, but it's just kind of an interesting thing to see. And I think I'm thinking about it because I have a daughter, like, do I want her to know how do I want her to think about the things that she knows I'm about? In a way where she wants to talk to me about them, or in a way where it's like, oh, don't get me started about them.
Yeah, having kids will do that.
Yeah.
You should get a motorcycle, too, and start playing basketball at the gym with your friends.
You should start playing basketball on the motorcycle. That might help me.
I think you're kind of nuancing some definitions a little bit for me, which is helpful for me, because when I think about things that I'm passionate about or ranting about, I always think what's wrong with me is that it's the wrong content. I'm not passionate about the right? And if you've listened to every episode, which we know a lot of you have religiously, one of my struggles for me is like worshiping God correctly, because I just don't feel like I have the zeal or passion or that rant drive in me when it comes to like Sunday morning emotive expression in worshiping God.
And I think we've talked about that. Episode, I believe, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, absolutely. And so like I'm like, you know what? I just need to shift the content of things that are in my heart to that. When maybe it's more like kind of you're saying, where I need to really start forming, I guess, an identity on who I want people to remember me as their thing. Because I know what people say about me. They're like, oh, that Sean guy, he's so, he can't form an opinion on abortion, but he hates people who waste avocados. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they know that I'm passionate about stupid things, but maybe it's not that I need to be less passionate about stupid, but it's that I need to, what I'm passionate about, I need to line that up with the character described as a biblical.
Yeah.
Or even
I hear what you're
a
saying.
relation.
I'd agree with you. Because I think there is an uncomfortable level of diversity in the human heart, and then that filters into the church. Like caring about missions, I have to say no to good people and good causes as a part of my job. To say what you're doing has value, but just not enough for me to put money behind. Like I have to tell well-intending people sometimes that they're not thinking about what they are, and it's just I spend money on it. It's a hard thing to say, but there are things that people are passionate about that don't move the needle in my heart at all. Like, there's some things I'm like, I'm glad God's called you to that, not me, because that sounds awful. Or it's sometimes, to be frank too, there's things I'm like, that just doesn't move me much compared to other things. Like, I'm passionate about missions in the Muslim world, passionate about missions with displaced people. I'm just passionate about things like that. But that's not everything. I'm not always passionate about clean water stuff. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. It depends on the situation, the organization, and that one I really have to look at and say, how would I think about this specific one? It's not as general for me. But there's all that to say, like there's an abundance of things that are worth caring about, and I cannot care for them all. And God has raised up different people to be passionate about a cause. And sometimes I feel like we feel like because I'm passionate about this, people just need to be too. If they don't, they don't care enough. They're lazy, being selfish. I'm like, well, maybe it just doesn't stir them as much as you, and that's okay. Like, rather than be shaped by somebody else convincing me I should care about something so much, what am I passionate? Like, what do I want to see God do? Who do I see God making me by how I'm interacting and viewing the world? And for me, I'm thinking of that as like, what issues am I researching and devoting thought to and prayer to? Like, those things develop. They're part of formation and how I view parts of the world or groups or... But there's other things that when people are like, well, you should just care about this, I'm like, I'm glad that really impacted you, but just not interested. Like, that's not a slight against it. It's just
don't like Godfather.
I just don't like Godfather. It's like watching Casino. I don't really like the movie Casino.
Oh, really? How can you? No,
or
just kidding.
I heard you got...
No, but that's how it comes out, right? Yeah. Is you say something like that, and then somebody starts to rant, and they say, they can't stand for it all of a sudden. And they have to jump to the defense of this thing that they like, when they would never want to live in a world where they're not allowed to have opinions, yet what they're enforcing on you is that you're not allowed to have an opinion different than silly.
And I think people mischaracterize the alternative to say, where it's almost this, like, spineless, well, that's good that you care about things. I care about things too. Good for us, we care about it. Like, yeah. But to me, I'm like, well, no, that's a false dichotomy. That's not the other option. There's enough causes. I think God cares for enough things in his complex world that he'll stir up different people to care about them differently. Yeah. But there are commonalities that can challenge me, like people's courage, people's willingness to sacrifice, people's obedience. Those things can be commonalities regardless of what the issue is or the focus. What that looks like.
Yeah, I've been thinking lately a lot about fish with hats. Like, I have a Kickstarter. What? Listen, it's a Kickstarter. We have to think about this. Can you make a hat that stays on the fish even underwater? And imagine if you could get a whole area fish with like bowlers and just different... I don't know. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd make a difference. And not everyone's into it. In fact, no one. But fish with hats. I'm just saying. What if you were swimming underwater and you're about to get a divorce?
Barracuda in the beret.
Barracuda in the beret. There you go. And you go, you know what? That makes that fish is delightful. And you go back and reconcile with your wife. So, fish with hats.
When it comes to fish with hats.
I feel like that'd be something on Shark Tank.
I want you to donate. Wait, hear me out. Hold on. Wait, hold on, Cuban. Oh, okay, I'm reading that story now. I see.
Yeah. How never hit you just one day looking into fish tank, seeing that clownfish needs a fedora.
It needs a hat. And you want what, sir? I want $2 million for hats. Oh, to train people? No.
I don't understand the purpose of this.
Sir. No, sir, you're misunderstanding me. No. only 1 million goes to the hats. The other 1 million is to train the fish how to smile
To
and
wear
look
that.
surprised.
That's a
while wearing the
sustainable
hats.
project. So we
Yes.
want the fish to make their own hats.
We then want the fish to disciple other fish to wear hats and teach them how to make snide remarks or smiles like they're surprised when people look at them. Or look like they're
so
up
beautiful.
to something. I want fish to look like they're up to something while they're wearing the hats. So, fish with hats. But no, I think you make a good point. I've been sitting on that for 10 minutes just thinking about different fish with hats.
That seems like one of those pooping thoughts.
Fish with hats. No, because, alright, one, it is silly to go, people do this, they say, oh, while you were busy worrying about this was going on. Well, I can't worry about everything. I can't be everywhere. And there are more people, because it's like, well, if you care about this, well, why aren't you involved in that? And the thing is, if you're passionate about it, well, you be involved in it. I'm working here in this area, and I have a certain capacity and time
Totally.
and resources.
I remember talking to somebody at church that was like, I feel like we should have a prison ministry. Some person at the pastor was like, I feel like why don't we do more for families of deployed soldiers? I'm like, that's something you care about? Maybe you should do something about it. And they were like, well, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, neither do I. You're the one who brought it up.
They want you to want to.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I feel like this would be a good idea for somebody else to care about.
You're
This
like,
would be sweet.
here's my friend
What if we did
Seth's email. He has an idea about fish. I really think you should hit him up. Just put in the title, fish? Question mark? With hats?
I've always thought it'd be funny to make a children's cartoon where the kind of little mafia mobsters that are lobsters. Think about it. Little lobsters dressed like mobsters. Like, yeah, put the clams together.
Yeah.
Give me the clams.
Oh,
See, think about it.
oh
Think about
wait.
it.
Suits for crustaceans. That could be my other project.
Oh.
If they... Something I can get...
Yeah, because all those little
I'll figure it
legs
out.
on
Give me
their
time.
tails are weird. They need to
Yeah.
have something covered them up.
They got weird genitalia, too.
They're just
Yeah,
weird.
cover it up.
Like,
Coats for crustaceans. There
They
you
look
go.
normal from the top up, and then you see their underbelly, and they don't look they don't look right. It's
Why
like they
is-
came out of space.
Why is it shrimps have always pooped right before I eat them? I don't get that. Did they get nervous? Did they see a fish with a hat and it made them nervous and they were surprised? They're like, where?
And then they do the awkward, like, backwards flail, like, bail out.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. I don't like that either.
Just,
The backward swim.
what if a fish, no
Making
joke,
eye
Sean, it's swimming by you and you see its hat and it just gives one eyebrow raised or a surprised smirk and swims off blushing and you're like, where'd it get that hat? Wouldn't you wonder about that the rest of your day? Fish with a hat.
Especially when you have that awkward moment when you're, like,
That would be amazing.
in the water and you see a crustacean by your toe, and you're like, oh crap, there's something moving down there. And then you see it, like, ghost on out of there with, like, a beret.
Yeah, what was
And
it
a
you
suit.
said? With
A
a
zoot
beret?
suit.
What was it with a beret you
A
said?
barracuda with a beret.
Barracuda with a beret. Bass with a bowler. Yeah, it just... Okay. Well, but...
Anyways.
Okay, so here's...
I think that's one of the more random tangents I've heard you going in a
I
while.
really had to force it. I was like, when do I
That's-
see an opening to talk
I
about
said it
fish?
was a pooping hat.
I'm pooping thought. Look, whether I was... whether
Don't
I was
you all
dropping
judge
a
me
weight
for
class
talking
while
about
I'm thinking
pooping
about
thoughts.
this or not. Yeah, pooping thoughts.
We all have them.
Yeah, you go, And then your son hits the door to try to get in. You go,
And
this
calls-
is occupied! You put your
And
foot on the
he
door.
calls you a penis.
Calls it. It was so sweet. He goes, Daddy, you're a penis. I was like, stop that. And I started laughing. Well, here's the thing, though. Okay, so obviously I can see the reason why, with things you're passionate, with things you believe in, why you'd want to hone them like to an edge, be sharp, why you'd want to be able to defend them, argue them, convince other people, show that they're right, really like even go, no, I don't want to lose an argument, I don't want to be wrong. But then I see downside is I don't think you keep looking for truth or what's really like honest answer or how to connect with people. It's less about that and more about, no, I'm just searching for more information to reaffirm what I already think, or to just double down, dig in my heels and go, just bunker down, go, no, this is what I believe. And if you do that and your whole emphasis and focus is on that, well, you're not connecting with people anymore. You're not trying to see them. It's more just, now I'm trying to, evangelize or proselytize them into this view. And then you go, well, it's their problem if they don't get it. It's their problem if they don't think it. And And I don't see that as Jesus' emphasis. I don't see him going, no, every discussion is an opportunity to argue and show them how dumb and wrong they are and just hammer them, as opposed to, I saw him truly connecting with people where they were, where people wanted to be around him. They wanted to talk to him. He had whole passages on rhetoric, on how you talk to people, how you deal with people. Paul, too. They wanted to hear what he had to say. They wanted, even people, I think with John the Baptist, when he was in prison, even the guy who he rebuked thought he was interesting. Was like, wow, John the Baptist, was like, huh, I want to hear what he has to say. He even rebuked him, and John was a guy he wanted to hear what he had to say. It wasn't this guy of, you see him on Facebook, it says so-and-so has commented, and you get a knot in your stomach of,
yeah,
this is going to be a 20-page argument. What does he say? What snarky comment? What thing about, what link to, his specific tribe about why I'm wrong? Yeah, I don't think we want to give people that feeling that literally you're offending them with everything except the gospel. I don't know.
And I think people have the best of intentions, inherently where it's, I want to bring about a result that I will deem as genuine or not. And if I don't see it, you obviously just don't care enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
also kind of an insecurity.
Road.
Yeah.
That's a lonely road. And I think that's been the thing that it's kind of driving me to think about is that's a lonely road and I don't want to go down it.
Yeah.
And it's not lonely for good reason.
Right.
It's a sad road to be so far down. I don't know how. And like I mentioned, I respect pastor adult.
Right.
That's not talk down about anybody. It's not a very common.
List these churches, Nathan. List the bad ones.
Well, get your pencils. But I see that as I want to learn this.
Yeah.
I want to. That's a road I hope my life looks similar to.
Right.
So I look at many other people and the relationships they have with their adult kids and grandkids and the tensions of, just don't bring that up. If we're coming into the Thanksgiving season of whatever topic, not to bring up at the table because it's going to set crazy uncle or dad or grandpa off about. And going, I have that proclivity. I'm an opinionated person. That's going to be where I am if I'm not walking in a way to bring that before God and saying, please change this and polish something that's good and not, I don't want this to be a sharp edge. I don't want this to be a file down it.
You know where I've seen this ideal play out? It was, I think, described really well in a movie directed by Kevin Smith. And it was called Jersey Girl, and nobody liked it because everybody wants to judge Ben Affleck, but I think he's a great actor. He made me cry in Armageddon. And not only that, in addition to Armageddon, he's been good in other stuff. He can't pick scripts well, but he's a great actor.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's in this movie called Jersey Girl, and basically the plot is there's this guy who gets pushed to the edge, and then he goes off on a rant about things that he doesn't like, and it gets him in trouble, and he ends up paying for it with some severe consequences. And that's the whole movie, basically. And he learns to kind of undo that, and he grows from that character.
And they rob banks with Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, that was the second. That was a sequel. Jersey Girl 2, the 10. But I also feel like, as somebody who is one of those types of guys who does that all the time, to some degree, there's a bit of an insecurity in your position when you have to convince everybody to agree with you, because they validate that you're right. So it's almost like, to a little degree, and I'm speaking for myself here, to a little degree, there's a chance that you could be completely wrong, and you cover up that chink in your armor by saying that, look at all these people who I brought to this conclusion through logic. And that's a dangerous place to be, too, because I think that you hide and cover up that vulnerability as opposed to exploring that and really seeing why you're insecure about that whole thing, maybe.
I'd agree with you for sure. Because I think what I see in those moments of, it's easy for me to want to express my thoughts about something, to communicate that I have thought deeply about something.
Yes.
Which, in and of itself, that can, I think, come from a place of more insecurity than security.
Yes.
Because it shouldn't matter if I thought deeply about something or not. If somebody didn't ask and it's not a conversation we're having, if I'm inserting the conversation in, it becomes this pissing contest.
Yes.
And that the other person maybe didn't want to have. And it's like, but trust me, I've thought deeply about this. And it's like, okay, well, do I be like for you? And it's most of the time I think it hurts relationships.
Yeah.
Tuna with top hats. That's another one.
Oh, there you go.
Tuna
There you
chop.
go.
Sorry.
Other
keep
hat
it.
types?
Flounders with fedoras.
Flounders
Oh,
with
you
fedoras. Barracudas.
I don't know
with
if that
berets.
idea would take off.
got it.
It might be a flop.
Yeah, it might fall flat.
No, that,
Get it? Because that was a reach.
no, you were getting there.
So, when it comes to our presuppositions that maybe are the reason for our rant, or our presuppositions that are our reason for wanting to ignore people's rants, I think that this is kind of changing directions, but there is an interesting article that we read. Seth and I read and studied, and you have no idea what it is. But anyways, the article talks about translation and literature, and it talks about it being kind of a forerunner and foundation for culture. So like your culture is what it is now because 20 years ago, the literature was this, and the literature is this because 20 years before that, the translation was this. And so, like, an example would be, Michael Moore, Bowling for Columbine or whatever. He talks about how all of the messaging about African Americans or Africa anything was this negative connotation, right? It was like African bees are the bad ones, right? And African Americans are not Americans, they're Africans. And all of these things that kind of get drilled into people's heads, almost indoctrinated to a point. And so when people think of somebody, and I think this was almost the main position of the article, was when I say something like, did you hear about the Chinese blank? Anything. You already kind of mentally visualize or have a presuppositional idea or opinion of a Chinese something. And if you say that in America, you say, oh, did you hear about the Chinese blender? You'd be like, oh, that's the one that doesn't work good, or the one that falls apart, or the one that poisons kids with lead.
You look at a good example, Back to the Future. All the best stuff is made in Japan.
Yes, right? Exactly.
Yeah, no, that failed. It says it's made in Japan.
Yes.
See?
Exactly. So there's entire cultures who have that same narrative in their head. And so the article had kind of stated that in a roundabout way, that it's kind of no wonder we're at this spot in the United States of America where rhetoric is king and where the majority of Americans are defending Donald Trump while the other side is completely opposed to Donald, and why there is this, Russia bad, China bad, Iraq, Iran bad, everything Middle East bad, and America good, and why there is systemic racism, why there is systemic classism and elitism and all of this stuff. And it was a really good article. Anyways, I don't know what question to ask.
Yellowtail with a yarmulke. Cod with a coif.
Coif?
It's a coif. Also...
Coif.
Calamari with a cowboy hat.
Oh.
Do you know what the Pope's hat is called a mitra?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, there's
silly.
Oh, there's a lot of them. Shark with a sakak.
Watch your mouth.
Salaka. There's two of them. Yeah.
What a brown trout with a
salmon with a sombrero.
Whoa!
Oh, that's a good one.
What was that last one?
Salmon with a sombrero.
Oh my gosh.
That doesn't even make sense.
Seal with a
Taco Tuesday's
songcock.
gonna be great.
Seal with a songcock.
What?
This is a family podcast, sir.
Needle-nosed fish with a newsboy cap.
I was really nervous there for a second.
Needle! You know what? There's
A trout with a toque?
squid.
Toque's a hat, right?
Yeah.
Squid with
If
a
you have
strimel.
These are not.
Bass with a beaver hat. Oh man, there's the list just
beaver
goes
hat?
on. Oh,
That's
yeah. Tuna could be tuna with a tricorn. Another one.
That would actually, tuna with a tricorn would be super cool.
Halibut with a helmet.
Halibut with a helmet. Oh, there's more. There's a topor, a Glencairn, hobby. Oh goodness, I've gone down a rabbit. Oh, and there are some weird people who post. Goodness.
Trout with a turban.
Yes. Do we have any? Do we have any fish with or an F? P or F? Yes, P or F. I
feel like we could come up with a good one for tilapia.
What?
Tilapia needs a good hat. That's a fish.
Tilapia with a trilby. Tilapia with a trilby.
You're right.
Do we have a F for a
I think
P?
it's a tilapia with a tube.
Tilapia with a tube. What's it doesn't even have to just be fish. I mean, you got squid, you got,
I thought it was fish. That was your whole point.
I know, but I want to expand. I don't want to be a bigot. What are those, cuttlefish. And then, was it the ones that sting and you have to pee on yourself to...
Jellyfish?
Jellyfish with a...
I can't think of any hat that start with J.
Yeah. Let me see. You
like
can
roommate?
continue with the podcast. I just...
I don't
This
I don't
is
know where I'm going.
continuing.
This is for you.
a pork pie hat. That's another one. Oh,
Some of these, honestly, the fish are real. The hats sound fake. to
a
me.
pufferfish with a pork pie hat. And it's
pufferfish.
pork pie hat is what Mary Poppins had. A pork
Oh
pie
yeah,
hat.
and a parrotfish. There's
A parrotfish with a pork pie. A halibut with a Homburg. Let's see.
Fake hat. Fake hats, man.
No, these are real. These are all... Do you know I think there's like 200 types of
I
hats.
feel like we need to open a seafood.
Oh. And then there's just a random picture of a beaver making a dam. No reference, no context. Why did that guy post that?
Oh, it's an ad, I'm sure.
Sombrero. There's a sombrero. Oh, gosh. I'm not going to go near a turban. Let's see. Bass with a bonnet. Let's see. Okay.
Bonnet, yeah.
What would go with a whale? I need a W.
What?
Oh, gosh.
A
no.
wig?
No W. Whale with
A wig
Oh.
is kind of a hat.
Whale with a wig. Whale with a wig. Oh.
It's kind of a hat. It counts.
Oh, gosh.
Mackerel with a merkin.
yeah,
That's a type of hat.
there you go.
It's a hat for something.
Yeah. Well,
Always a
well,
hat
there's
portion.
there's the Pope hat. It's called a mitra, so it would have the
Oh,
Pope
there you
hat.
go. Okay, that's
A mackerel with a Pope hat, swimming around confused, saying, "Why am I the Pope?" But yeah, I don't know. Hats.
Oh yeah.
Duh.
Fake hats.
Hats
Stop
on fish.
making up hats.
Now, would you
Making
put
up fishes.
would you put a strap on the hat or glue it to the fish? No, because I want the environment. Yeah. Wait.
Glue.
What if I coerce them? No, because glue is glue.
No, what if
on
they
the-
actually wore the hats though?
I know,
I've
but
seen
what would
those
it
fish.
stick
You know
to?
those fish? It would gravity, the same as our hats.
But they're
There's still
underwater.
gravity. Water doesn't mean there's no
It
gravity.
doesn't
It just
slip
means
off?
it's less. They would have to be careful. You would have to train them to do that.
To go, oh, I'm late, and they're holding it with
Exactly,
one
and
fin,
they're-
trying to keep their hat on.
Exactly.
Oh, a
And
bunch
they're
of
moving
fish
around to
jellies.
keep it on there. That is what I want to see. I don't want to see a hat glued to a fish or strapped to a fish. I want to see a fish balancing a hat on their head. I don't even think
I
seals can
feel
do
like
that.
that distribution right there. Fish don't have hats yet.
No. Well, yeah, stupid fish.
Or ties.
Where's your ties, you dorks? Going to interviews looking naked.
But they don't have to wear pants.
Yeah.
I've
That was
never-
when I was like, the teacher's like, why aren't you wearing pants to school? I was all, fish don't.
That's what I said too. I was like, you know what, Mom?
My son asked me, he goes, what'd you do before I was born?
It's
I'm
like a
walk around
triple.
naked. I was like, I was naked like all the time. It's like, why? I'm all, have you ever been naked? Come on. He's all, what, your hoodle was
Gills
just...
showing.
He said, what, your hoodle was just flapping around all the time? I'm like, hoodle? Hoodle-a-doodle.
Doodly-doodly.
Alright, so I don't... So the is it a Kickstarter? What's it called?
Big stand?
No, to raise money? Is
Oh,
it,
yeah.
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
Is
That's
it
right.
Kickstarter or is it a GoFundMe?
It's
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe tends to be for
Go
like
fish.
compassionate police authorities that do something
Yeah,
worthwhile.
Kickstarter is usually scam.
I'm going to do a GoFundMe, so.
Do it. Maybe we can get some money on our Patreon
A
for Fish for Hats.
fantastic crustacean with a cat. What was it with the crustacean? We said something. Oh, we were going to do suits for... Was it? To cover up their weird
crustacean
genitalia?
suit.
What are like the Admiral hats called?
Oh, well...
It's a tricorn, right?
I thought it was. Yeah, because it was pretty cool. I thought the tricorn looked cool. I was like...
What's the hat that Napoleon wore?
Shoot. What was that?
Oh, wait.
Well, what? Capello Romano. That's another one.
What was Sherlock Holmes' hat called?
Crustacean with a
A
chupala.
deer hunter or something?
Deer stalker.
Deer stalker.
I like that.
I think you could fish that
Wait.
start with a D.
What type of hat? Here, I'm going to do it. What
P, D, and F is the hardest.
What type of hat did
Yeah,
Napoleon's
thanks, Adobe.
fish wear? What type of hat did Napoleon's fish wear? Let's see. What type of hat? It was the bicorns. There's a tricorn and the bicorn.
I would have a quad corn.
Quad.
It
So
sounds like my grandma's foot.
Oh,
Let's-
dude.
Are you trying to get
This
me to
has
drink
excel-
more? Is that why you passed that over here?
No, we're sharing.
Sure.
Narwhals.
A
A narwhal with a
Let it,
neckerchief.
let the record show Sean just passed a bag of Coke and alcohol over to me. He wants me to talk about these
Do we
fantastic...
have any N hats? Wait, narwhal's a whale, huh? It's like
It counts.
it's a mammal.
It can count.
We're already doing... Alright, narwhal.
Castration.
I'm so frustrated. Let me see.
Castration is when you angrily
Crawl
custard
along
a
the ocean
pie.
floor.
Let me see. So, you said N, narwhal?
Yeah, N hats.
I wonder... We'll see how
I feel
long
like that's a
people
dangerous
can...
Google. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't type in N-word hat. That's
Okay,
bad.
Google, what's an N hat?
There's an N quai tau, but that doesn't quite fly
What?
off your tongue. Now, let me see. Newsboy cap. Well, let me see.
Oh, that's pretty. That's
Narwhal with the narwhal with a newsboy cap. I'm looking. I mean, he already looks pissed on the box.
I feel like I've seen that on Adventure. At least
Isn't
once.
it? What's a newsboy cap? Is that?
Kind of like a beret, but it's a little baggier.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a name for that. That's
Do you
not
know-
newsboy cap.
Do you remember?
though, right?
Do you remember when the foxes in cartoons would dress up like flappers? They had some certain episodes that came
Dude,
in.
I hate flappers.
Okay, it's called.
I don't want to go on a rant.
It's
here,
called
but
a-
flappers.
It's called
Worst
the
generation.
zoot suit hat. I guess it's called a picture hat, or is that the female? I can't tell the female from the male hats. They're so. There's a temple hat and a snood. Have you ever heard of a snood?
Oh yeah, no, a snoot. It's a real thing. It's like a hairnet.
Tyrolean hat.
I was just talking about
Which always
snoots today.
settles its
I'm not
debts.
even joking. I was talking about snoots today.
Snoods?
Yeah.
Send me your snoods. Send snoods. Okay.
Seriously, snoots. I'm not even
You
joking.
snoods, you lose. You will regret being my friend by the end of this sentence.
Go all the way around. What's
So-
a hat that starts with an N?
What? A Newport. Newbury. Nippleton. Nippleton.
Nippleton?
Nippleton. A swooping
I feel like-
scythe.
I wish there was
Swoop.
a town in Great Britain called Nippleton.
Nippleton. Where do you
I
hail from? Oh, from the great village of Nippleton, I do.
My family had a castle in Nippleton.
Nippleton.
I was the Knight of Nippleton.
The Knights of Nippleton.
Oh, God.
With their breastplates. Yeah.
No, they fought shirtless.
Yes. Our Nippleton, where your breasts are, your breastplates. Yes. The Knights of Nippleton. Fighting against the hordes of Cockleberry. Cocksburg. Cockburg. Penis.
Old Reginald Nippleton.
Oh,
a banger, dear?
oh, makes me think of old Willie Clark.
Old Sir Nippleton.
Old circumcised. Oh.
All right. This has escalated well, I believe.
And it all started with a young man who fish have dignity deserve hats.
Fish
That's a
could-
mission field that I don't
fish
think has been
could
reached.
be gentlemen
Delicious.
too.
Delicious sushi. Well, so, listen, guys. So, alright, so we talked about ranting. You listed the churches that get it wrong. We
All
talked
of them.
about fish.
Nipples.
Culture. Nippleton. I don't know. What else do you want to talk about? Sean, what's grinding your gears lately with that mustache of yours, that registered mustache? Not on any good registry still. Anything floating your fedora these days? Anything tickling your tilapia? Anything warbling your walrus?
Anything massaging your mackerel.
Perturbing your portrait for a second. I also said portrait.
Poking your porpoise.
Poking your, anything poking your
Anything
pork.
poking your porpoise. Hey, oh, that's a new saying. Oh, what's porking his...
Hey, actually, no, that's a
Poking
great
his
idea.
porpoise.
Jeez, what's poking his porpoise?
Can we,
I think we need to start mixing these,
Yes,
these
no, that's
phrases
what I'm
in average conversation.
can we,
Man, with poking that kid's porpoise.
can we declare our cultural superiority on this podcast by actually making one of these a saying? And I think poking your porpoise is one of them.
What's poking his
I
porpoise.
guarantee you, if we say it for 2 years, and everybody will be like, "Why are you saying that? That's stupid." But 5 years from now, it'll
It's
be
true.
Shia LaBeouf or somebody will say it, and then all of a sudden it'll be a thing.
And all we need to do is somebody's like, what did you say? Like, what, you never heard that? Oh, yeah, my grandpa used to say it all the time. People are like, oh.
Dude, it's coming back around.
Gosh,
It was cool in the 20s.
someone just gets really angry, like, what's poking his porpoise?
It's happening.
What's hoodling his halibut?
I'd like to appeal to our listeners. Please start poking your porpoise in normal conversation.
Poking your porpoise.
I feel like that could be the title of Rick Warren's new book.
What's poking your porpoise?
The porpoise-driven life.
That's what's missing from church. Nobody's asked the porpoise-driven life. Nautical edition.
The porpoise-driven
for white
Bible.
men at sea.
The porpoise-driven, Bible study, Bible. God is most glorified when my porpoise
is magnified.
The seaman edition.
The seaman, yeah. You know what? And
It was only a matter of time.
there is lots of unreached seamen. You think of it. So, what? Lots of seamen out there just floating around.
Did you guys hear about the fisherman off the coast of Norway? He was spearfishing and he accidentally caught a dolphin. And the captain said, "What's poking your porpoise?"
What's poking your porpoise? What? I feel like it could work.
What's hanging up your herring?
What is warbling? What does warbling even mean? I said warbling your walrus. What's warbling?
I think it means walking sideways and being fat.
Oh. What was the one you said? Herring? What about a herring? Is a fish.
Hanging up your herring?
I have had some recently. Herring. Oh.
Herring and sour cream is delicious.
Herring's always funny because it sounds a lot like, what is it? What's the term for heckling? It sounds like
Heckling.
herring. What is it, though?
Harry?
Yes, that's the one. I thought about saying it, but it sounded way too complicated.
You know what? What would an octopus wear? And would it have 8 of them? No, those are arms.
Those would
Just
be
one
8
head.
canes.
Those would be mittens.
Oh. Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Hold
We've
on.
legitimately talked about
Hold
sea
on.
creatures for 20 minutes.
What could be for a cephalopod?
Did you
Accessories for an octopus. What? What hat would
Did
a
you come up with on millinerytechniques.com types of hats A through Z? Is that the website you're on?
Let me see. I just typed in lists of types of cancer. No, goodness. I don't
That's not
want
what I want to see pictures.
No, yeah. Prostate pictures. Let's see. What could be? Okay, so there's a boater. What could be for an octopus?
Hold on. I gotta go to the O's.
Probably something from like Nepal that we don't know how to pronounce.
Yeah, well, I
Something
guarantee
that a Sherpa would wear.
I've butchered like half. A cobra. That sounds like you're saying a cobra, but with an accent. A cobra.
It sounds like a Pokemon.
Let me see. Hats starting with O. I'm using Bing and Internet Explorer. No, let's see. Let me show. Okay.
You're joking, right? Don't say that.
No, I would not use Bing or. You find anything with an O? Ascot. I like that.
Why am I offline?
I don't know. We're looking at butt sites. I don't know. Let me see. There's there's a mushroom hat. I can make some jokes for that. I already have one of those. Let's see.
It's right by the Merkin.
Let's see.
Fit well on a cod.
There's a mortarboard. Codfish. Yes!
Codfish.
A cod.
Cod pieces for codfish. Let me see. There's no hats with an O. There's a Rasta cap. All right. Santa hat. Shaco. Where do you see anything with an O?
I found a cobra. That is a weird one.
Told you. I'm not making. All right. What? Nathan? Can you think of anything with an O? Oh, witch hat. Okay. That's Zucchetto for a zebrafish.
Yeah.
Hats starting. Let me see.
No.
With they're all. Let's listen to them type.
Oh, this will get edited.
Will it? Because I feel like make this a 2.5 hour episode. Let's see. Types of hats. Gross. Oh, letter ho hats. Oh, I meant letter O. Oh. All right, let's see.
Types of hats. A through D. But how do I go to the next one?
That's literally the page I'm looking at now.
These peoples.
They don't know how to organize their hattery.
Yeah.
How will the fish ever?
E through N.
It jumps.
Homburg.
Homburg.
A leghorn.
Oh, opera hat or an Optimo.
Oh, come on. That's stupid.
A Montero.
Wait, an octopus with an opera hat? What if he was really
And literally, opera hat is the only thing identifying for no. A nightcap.
If we go land animals,
Ooh, a Cumberland.
you can have
Yeah.
you can have a platypus with a plantar.
A codfish with a Cumberland.
There you go. Okay. Well, this is what I do in my free time. Fish with hats.
A coolie?
Cool.
A coif?
A shower cap.
There's a hat called a cock hat.
Say that one again.
And a coal heaver.
Wait, a cock hat?
Yeah,
What's it look like?
Cock hat. Hat with a folded or turn-up brim.
Does it have a turtleneck on?
I also
or
found
no?
a songcock. It's in
Oh, what?
Malaysia and Indonesia, a kind of oval brimless hat. Songcock.
Oh, beautiful.
Say it again.
Nope. Stetson.
What kind of hats?
How did we think of a Stetson?
Oh, yeah.
That one's actually
A
normal.
salamander with a Stetson. What kind of hats are they wearing? Fuck it, Thailand.
It was, I don't know. I remember the priests had robes and they had, I don't know what hats they wore in Thailand. They had, because they had, when you fight, there's that, I don't remember the name, but it's the rope tied around, not going back, but.
Yeah, what's
A
that
noose.
called?
It's called a noose.
It's called getting off the streets. That's what that is. Just fight, dude. I don't know. Octopus opera hat. That's all I got, guys. Zebra.
Listeners, if you can think of hats.
Wait.
Legitimate hats.
So
like,
your
not just
suggestion
like,
is they swim and have one hand holding their hat while they swim?
No, they the same way that our hats work.
You don't think the current would push it off their head?
It would the same way the wind pushes it off your head.
Depends on if it's a high quality hat.
But here's the thing. I could walk normally, and unless the wind hits or the wind's blowing, not worry that's going to fly off and stuck to my hair. Then they're so slippery. Just moving through the water, isn't it gradually sliding
Beg
back?
your pardon, sir, but you are not a fish.
I
You do
am
not
not.
know what
You're
it feels
towing
like.
around.
I am an aquamanarian, I'll have you know. 2
No,
years
like,
running.
I've balanced a rock on my head while I was underwater.
Doesn't it weigh more than that hat?
Yes. But I'm saying the hats, the underwater fish hats would have to weigh more than a regular.
Put kryptonite.
You know how
That way
fish
Superman can't steal them from the
We'll
fish.
just make them out of unobtainium.
Unobtainium.
they have glasses and things like that, right? Castles and divers, but they're all made of heavy concrete for the same reason. No, our crack torch. What shall we do? You gotta turn the pipe upside down.
Oh,
I feel like that'd be better if you still had the comically small pipe.
I was so excited about the fish that I haven't even brushed the ashes off me. I've been burning for like 5 minutes. Yeah. Much like you will burn in hell if you don't donate to this podcast. No. Don't donate to our Patronus.
Or if you're, according to John MacArthur, if you're a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't. Oh, dude, he was really mean to Beth Moore. And I'm a complimentarian, but I'm not a jerk like that. Gosh. Especially to old ladies.
And it's just, yeah.
Complimentarian with a cappy hat.
A complimentarian with a coif.
Yeah, that's actually what brought about the thought about me not getting bitter as I get old.
Oh, really?
Was John MacArthur.
Yeah, because he made you better?
Yeah, because it was literally like, what happened to him? Because I was talking with somebody, grew up in the church, went to master's college, got saved there after one of his talks after growing up in the church, and she was super bummed that apparently he just doesn't like women.
Yeah, he comes off that way.
Yeah.
Well, because it's
Sand
funny.
in his butthole.
I forgot that that's literally what sparked the thought.
Oh,
Well,
it's interesting.
It's interesting because there are even people who, who are complementarian, who hold to that theology and go, well, I wouldn't have said it that way. I wouldn't have dealt with the situation that way. And I don't know, when I watch the video and I hear people laughing in the audience, it didn't sound to me like any type of,
feminine laughter.
Well, it didn't, laughs and testosterone. No, it didn't sound like any type of gentle correction or theological conviction. It more sounded just like mocking and irritation and snideness of you're stupid.
Snideness is a good word.
And I'm like, okay. Snappers with a snide look on their face.
MacArthur with a matador.
MacArthur with a matador. Driscoll with a lawsuit. Oh, wait, that's not.
It is over his head,
Okay,
though.
I'm sorry.
I think
good.
No.
that was I don't understand. I see what you're saying now. Like, you don't want to become such a jerk that you can't even talk to 51% of the population.
Yeah. And somebody I know said, They're like, oh, MacArthur, he just needs to sit down and shut up and stop talking. And I'm like, I never want to get to that point where people think that that's what I should do.
Yes.
That they think I should sit down and keep my mouth shut.
And, like, yeah, there's some guys who are old who, in their oldness, in their age and experience,
In their vintage,
are honestly, like, probably easier to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to say Billy Graham, because that's maybe a weird example, but... yeah, okay.
Sean!
Sorry. But it's like, there's just a lot of people who you either become crotchety, curmudgeonish in a coif, or you become jolly in a...
Yeah. Well, it's what Spurgeon said. You either, what does it, live long enough to become a villain?
That's what Spurgeon said. You either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain.
I know.
C.H. Spurgeon.
And here's the thing. When that guy died and Spurgeon took the blame instead of Commissioner Gordon, was Augustine Two-Face? Who was Two-Face? I'm going to say Rob
Two-Face.
Two-Face.
No, Two-Face was Luther.
I feel like it'd be funny to talk about the OK Boomer trend. That's funny.
Oh my gosh, dude. I've seen
it
some good ones.
Super funny. Somebody said... Some boomer stood up on Twitter the way you stand up.
Yeah,
and said, you know what? Boomer is just as bad as saying the N-word. And it's amazing that culture nowadays has figured out how to marginalize.
Yeah, because
like
the word millennial has really been used in respectful
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Plus, I was like, it's like, I don't know who said it. Is this millennial? Who said it? They were like, when you compare something to the N-word,
but you won't even
say the N-word.
Because you're
That's
right.
the worst one.
Yeah, who said that? Was that?
That was John Mulaney.
It was
They
Mulaney,
told him
right?
not to say midget, and they said it's as bad as the N-word. He goes, no, because we're saying midget.
And
he goes, we're not saying the N-word.
Exactly.
The only people that...
That's so
well,
true.
here's the funny thing.
Think about it. When was the last time you heard a minority refer to your generation as a specific title and people group?
Yeah.
No, they just talk about you're old, you're young.
Yeah.
They had...
there's opinions about that, but...
I forget who it was. Someone was responding that they say, oh, millennials blame everyone for their problems and blame everyone for how the world is. And he goes, that's what you're doing to us. He goes, you've literally been in charge, raised us, we're in charge of the economy, voted before we were even born, and yet blame us for how things are, blaming us for what's wrong in the industry. He goes, you're literally putting it on us as I take responsibility. He's like, there are policies and stuff that happened that you voted for before I was even born. Like, he's like, I didn't crash the housing market when I was 13.
Yeah.
He's like, don't. Yeah.
One of my favorites was a meme of Tony Stark. It says, if you're nothing without the suit, you shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
Peter Parker says, okay, boom.
Yeah.
There is something
Because
visceral about it.
I'm a millennial, and I just relate to comics.
Yeah,
How old
that's
are you?
true.
What's the cutoff?
I have no
No one, everyone are, because I,
No one knows.
see, this is the thing. I am young enough that older people call me a baby, and I'm old enough that people in their 20s think I'm going to die the next week. At 35?
No, we're Gen, we're Z. So we're Zillen or something.
No, because Gen Z is what's coming up.
I don't think
I
so.
think that's what kids are like in high school.
I just
Yeah.
have...
So we're
bad
Z-lennial, though. So it's like
Z-lennial.
we're between X and millennial.
Yeah.
Or between Y and millennial. I don't know.
My
I don't care.
whole rant with that is I forgot something called a...
Yes.
That it's like, it's something ironic about here, millennials, when I'm like, you do realize, like, have you ever seen the CNN series that's on Netflix where they do different decade series, the 70s?
Yeah.
Listening to the way that people talk to us. Like,
Yeah.
it's literally word for word the same vocabulary and same conversation. If you take Xer out and put millennial in, it's the same vocabulary. Like, it's something called...
Yes.
And boomers in the 60s and 70s weren't exactly talked of highly by their parents.
Right.
No, they had... Well, and you know what's cool? I will say this. My generation did not take part in Jim Crow, so I don't feel bad about that. I didn't... As far as I know, generations before me might say differently, but me, I don't feel my generation was to blame for the AIDS crisis or the crack epidemic. But so I feel like every generation you can look at stuff they did that was noble or achievements, and every generation you can look at and see stuff they did that sucked. I can look at stuff from my Opa's generation and go, yeah, that was pretty cool, and look at other stuff and go, I would never do that. Why would you? And same thing. I guarantee Gen X, there was stuff where they said, oh, you're lazy, you're apathetic. And then there was things they invented later on that were pretty cool, actually. So it's like, why...
Fish and hats.
Fish and hats. I just want to go John McCarthy and go, you know, what's poking your porpoise, man?
Honestly, like the OK Boomer thing, too.
If anybody needs to be asked what's poking their porpoise, it's
John
McCarthy.
That's our new segment called What's Poking Your Porpoise?
I feel like that would be a great segment to have on a weekly basis. You're like, Sean, what's poking your porpoise?
Oh my gosh, that's a great idea. We need a gimmick anyways.
That could be your shtick.
I feel like this whole show is a gimmick. I didn't even know we'd make it past episode. What episode are we on?
67.
Not 69.
Yeah. So I think the OK Boomer thing does hit on something kind of visceral, because there is this perspective that it's like, hey, we've tried to talk, we've tried to explain ourselves, we've tried to explain how we feel, and this generation doesn't want to listen to us and just wants to call us this, so that's our only response is, hey, I don't have time to explain this to you anymore, I'm not doing it anymore, so OK Boomer is the thing to do. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing.
6 years ago, 5 years ago, sitting in a pastoral ministries class, no, it was an ecclesiology class for my degree, so theology of the church. And,
yes.
I had a good relationship with the professor, so I was able to kind of speak candidly with him. But he was talking about kind of the transfer of power and leadership in the church. So the church is basically heading for a crisis because trying to hand the keys over to the next generation and saying, next generation basically saying, I don't. And it was interesting because everybody over the age of 50 in the classroom, because there was about half guys that were bivocational or full-time pastors working through school. And they're like, yeah, that's our experience too. Nobody wants to take the keys. And the other half of the room was my age and kind of awkwardly raised my hand. I was like, that's not my experience at all. More the perspective I'm seeing is you aren't ready. You can have these keys when you prime for my cold dead fingers. And it's awkward because many people are now 5, 10, and even 15 years older than the generation of boomers that started their mega churches, but they're still being told, oh, they're not ready. They're not ready yet. They're still not ready. I have to work longer. I have to work till I'm 70. And that's confusing. Like, to me, that's an unfortunate level of awkwardness that I don't think is going to lead well when we can't have an honest, respectful conversation to say, hey, there's kind of weird. Like, if there's a chasm of differences, people forgot how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, I think the cultural, like, it's interesting because that's church, that's small level, where you see the tone and culture is saying, okay, boomer, where it's just kind of this, you are written off because your age. And that's sad, but I see why it's happening. And figuring out what to do as a church leader is an interesting situation. Because that's people's perspectives. Okay, boomer, whatever. It's like eventually you're not going to have voice anymore. Yeah. It's kind of like, okay, grandpa, like Thanksgiving dinner awkward eye roll. I really think God delights in a culture of honor when people are honored. That's not honorable.
Yeah. I'm going to call my dad, apologize for slashing his tires. I texted my dad on Veterans Day.
Really?
Sorry I peed in your gas tank.
No, I said, Mom, from the bottom of my heart, will you tell Dad, because my dad was in the military. I've had men in the military for like last 100 years. And I said, will you please tell him that I'm really grateful for him fighting in the Civil War? And so she thought it was funny, and I think he thought it was funny, but I also said something about, I appreciated him writing the 10 Commandments of Moses and everything, and he doesn't look a day over at Eon, and so... But, no, I'm not going to apologize to him, actually, now that I think about it. But,
Can we play a game real quick, and then we got to wrap it up?
Okay.
This game, I just
Is it called Porkin' Your Porpoise?
Poking Your Porpoises with Sean.
Okay.
I just watched American History X the other day. It was a good thing to watch again.
That is the greatest romantic comedy I've ever seen.
So...
Where I've made a comment like, you look like it. And I'm like, only in American History X? Yeah. Not everyone bald is a racist.
Yeah.
It's true.
Quit marginalizing.
So this game, this is the first game, I think, on this show. This
Besides
game
our
is
lives.
called Who Said It?
Okay.
Edward Norton.
Your porpoise.
It's called Poking Your Porpoise.
Okay.
Who Said It? Edward Norton from American History X or Donald Trump?
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
I feel set up.
Okay. No,
Why don't the Mexicans go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came?
Okay, do you really want me to answer?
Yeah,
That's Trump.
Good answer. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, yeah.
All right, you win. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
This state spent $3 billion last year on services for those people who had no right to be here in the first place. $3 billion. That's Derek Vineyard.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was... Oh, all right, keep going.
Our border policy is a joke. Is anybody surprised that south of the border they're laughing at us?
Can you...
that could be their one, but I'm going to go with American.
If you tell me how it was spelled or if it was tweeted, I can tell you.
No.
Derek Vineyard.
Is it at 150 characters? Oh, no.
Yeah, Derek Vineyard.
That one... No, that is Donald Trump.
I thought that was Derek Vineyard.
Sorry. What you really should be angry about is the invasion of millions of illegals taking over America. No, that's Donald Trump. Sorry.
Oh, what?
Stop it.
No,
I
keep
know,
going.
this is really sad.
If it ends with sad, then I know it's Trump. Okay, keep going. No, I'm bought
There's
in.
nothing funny going on. It's about your life and mine. It's about decent, hardworking Americans falling through the cracks and getting the shaft because the government cares more about the constitutional rights of a bunch of people who aren't even citizens of this country.
Derek Vineyard.
That is Derek
Okay.
I
Vineyard.
remember that one.
Okay.
I was just shy to say it because I got the last two wrong.
It's okay, man. You're
A
doing
bunch of
good.
murderers and killers.
Is it spelled right?
Can I say both?
I think maybe it is both, but this one's attributed to Donald Trump.
Okay.
We're losing our right to pursue our destiny. We're losing our freedom. We're losing... Oh, that's it.
Vineyard.
That was Vineyard.
Okay.
Even though I tried to trick you with
I
it.
know. It's because I've seen this movie too much because my brother loved it for many reasons.
Here's
No,
one.
I'm
Here's
just
one that's
messing
easy.
with it. It was, different.
This
well,
and Romper Stomper.
Two more.
You get this one, Nathan. Come on, get this one.
Wait. No, I
Don't
already
be
said
shy.
that.
Don't be a shy little shellfish. You can do this.
This is hard, but you guys are going to know this one. Dang it. It says, what do you call it when people are crossing the border so consistently? That's an invasion.
That's me.
No, that's Trump.
Oh.
That's Trump. Remember that
You
caravan thing?
are discouraging
This is really
Nathan.
sad, right?
That's the sad thing because I'm like, well, it could be both.
Okay, here's one that's easy. Here's an easy. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people who have lots of problems. They're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're bringing rapists. And some, I assume, are good people.
Paula Dean.
Oh,
Isn't it sad, though? Isn't that really sad?
it really is.
I noticed that when I was watching it, I was like, oh my gosh, the rhetoric in this movie sounds so similar to, like,
Yeah.
the recent campaigns.
I think that's
It's kind of a bummer.
That was a conversation I had with someone who made nameless that I know recently that was like, I think this is what is most confusing for me, is that everything you told me about the political candidates you didn't like as a child, now the script has flipped, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm confused by this.
Yeah.
You're literally not abiding by the rules that you bestowed on me. That's confusing.
Right.
Regardless of any powers that be in the mix, that's really confusing.
Well, the one thing, okay.
You literally changed the rules of the game 180 degrees.
There was one thing. Do you remember? Okay, so because I remember this when I was growing up, when Clinton was being impeached. I remember one of the things that my mom had brought up, and I kind of respected it. Was she goes, "No, he shouldn't be president." And I go, "Oh well, why?" She goes, "His character counts." And a man like that who can't be faithful to his wife or have that type of character, like, shouldn't be a leader because it's shown it's a compromise in integrity. And when I heard her speak, she had such conviction. I kind of went, you know what? I'm like, well, I'm glad you hold it to such a high standard. And I was kind of impressed of like, no, like, you need to have integrity in every area of your life.
Yeah.
Flash forward, some of the same people who made that argument go, well, I'm going to vote for him because it's, well, he'll get this done or this done, which it's funny. A lot of the pragmatic or utilitarian arguments of greater good, lesser of two evils, it's funny. They come from the same philosophical school of thought, which is the ends justify the means. And people go, well, no, it's not. No, yeah, it is. Anytime you base ethics, decisions, morals, or choices on results, on the results you're going to get, and I'm not saying like choosing good or bad, but saying it's okay to compromise or do less than savory things or vote for something that's not ideal based on results, and that determines the ethics of the situation. That is the ends justify the means. That is that same school philosophical thought. And it's hard because when they said it with Clinton, I went, man, okay, agree or disagree, but moral majority, they really like, they're saying, no, the character counts, and that was their term. And now it's well, we need to get stuff done, or this.
Well, trust that character will change along the way.
I'm not voting for a person, I'm voting for a worldview. Which, here's the question I would ask. So if Richard Spencer was running against a Democrat, but promised he'd be pro-life, would you vote for him? Because you could say, yeah, he's anti-Semitic, but he says he won't pass any laws where he hates Jews. And yeah, he's racist, but he'll stop this with abortion. And I'm not voting for a person, I'm voting for a worldview. And who said I'm not voting for a person, I'm voting for a worldview? It was Jamin. So, I don't know. I look at that, I go, I feel like that is kind of a contradiction that they've switched and flopped because now it's, well, we have to get stuff done. And
it's interesting to see that confusion to say, somehow the rules of engagement changed, and they changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Like a 180-degree change. And that's confusing. And it's like, oh, well, you're just, you've just all gone liberal. It's like, no, like...
Oh, really? Yeah.
Trying to be consistent with the worldview that we were raised to have. And that's, if you grew up in a conservative Christian household, I'm speaking like...
That's how I was raised, yeah.
Kind of speaking to us in the room, really, in the context that we've been discipled in. But, like, we're trying to do that, but all of a sudden now we're very selective with what we're doing. That's...
Yeah, because it did change.
I was told integrity was a huge thing that I remember being told by adults. No, you are the same person in and out. You are the same person alone or with a group. And the idea that if you switched your views suddenly, you were flip-flopping. Yeah. So when I brought up, hey, like a month ago, Trump said he didn't care about this with transgender bathrooms and this with abortion and adultery, and suddenly he's a Christian with his... with known heretics, actually, who are on his spiritual council. Not all of them, but a few of them are known heretics. Suddenly it was like, well, you have to look at the best, and he could change.
He's being open-minded.
And it was interesting. We're minimizing the depravity of people on our side, but upping or accentuating or emphasizing the depravity of the other side. So now it's like when it's the other side, it's you have to exaggerate and show every point or detail of where they're wrong or depraved. In our side, downplay them and say, well, you need to show a little grace and people can change. Because I had many people tell me flat out, Obama, there's no way he's a Christian. There's no way that's true. How can he be a Christian? And yet it's, well, maybe he might, and, he has a personal faith. And
oh, yeah. Led to Christ or something that's the prosperity gospel.
Prosperity gospel.
Not on our...
Yeah, that's not... So it just... It's assuming the worst of everyone else and the best of us, and I go... And it's funny. If they knew how many views I actually, on paper, and I say that loosely, on paper, agree with them on, of like, okay, but the execution and what's happened to get there, that I always go back to King David. It wasn't just that he became a king. It was God's intention was the way he became. He didn't just kill Saul and all his family like pagan cultures might have, through blood. Because David... Yeah, go ahead.
It kind of encapsulates some of the conversation we've had about power and leadership and things like that. And influence.
Oh, there you go.
How did David respond when his son Absalom came to take his throne in an unjust, evil, ungodly way?
Yeah.
Yeah. He grieved.
He grieved.
Yeah.
He didn't... He said, I've never been a Saul, I'm not going to be a Saul.
No.
Yeah.
And that's very different than I see things manifesting.
When he could have killed Saul and felt that conviction of I think of this, it's not and just...
he wouldn't.
Yeah.
He could have and didn't.
It's not just that we get there, it's how we get there.
Yeah, and the fact that when his son came to him and said, I'm going to take the throne from you.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal it from you. And he didn't. His response is very telling that he stayed a man after.
Yes. So this has been What's Poking My Porpoise with Sean. So yeah, that's it. This is Tales from the Ditch. We gotta go. Kids need to go to bed. So
I feel so cool when I'm a part of that club.
Yeah, you're a dad.
Yeah, you're the dad club.
I'm not the
and you're the Tales from the
dadless dude anymore. That's like, so you guys, I'm just gonna go home and hang out and watch Netflix for 4 more hours.
Exactly. Now it's Disney Plus.
It's like, oh yeah, Disney Plus. Yeah,
that's a parent thing.
Gotta watch some episodes of Recess before we go to bed.
That's what Instagram. It's not Netflix and chill anymore. For parents, it's Disney Plus and chill. Anyways,
Disney Plus and fuck.
So if you have anything to talk about, please send us an email. Please send us an email at talesfromtheditch@gmail.com.
Finding Nemo.
If you want to support Any fish-related insinuations or analogies? Or fishing hats? Sword in the stone is great.
Hey, we need a babysitter so we can put the sword in the stone tonight. You know what I mean?
Oh, God. Oliver and Company? Oh, sorry. Anyways, give us an email at Tales from the Ditch. If you want to support us, which nobody does apparently, go to, except the people who gave us personal donations and didn't use the Patreon. Go to, yes. Go to patreon.com/Tales from the Ditch. Thank you to our donors, everybody who's brought booze.
You've given
like
us
Shay
huge donors. We appreciate it.
All of the two of us.
Huge donors.
I have a huge donor. Thank you.
Thank you, Judah, for your donation. Thank you, Miles, for your donation.
Thank you, Miles and
Everybody else.
Judah. Yeah.
Everybody else. But we got to wrap this up. So this has been Tales from the Ditch. You've heard what's poking my porpoise. Seth, what do you got?
Wait, I'm supposed to say a thing, right?
I don't know. I'm trying to sound like a...
Okay. Zip it up.
Zip it out.